going on.
Hey, good morning, everybody. This is another meeting of COGs. Us three older guys are going to rant, talk, discuss, however you want to say it. I'm Dr. Mike Martin. You got Dr. Brad Robinson here and Dr. Terrence McCullough. The three of us are uh, older, not old, mature, seasoned, retired, rewired chiropractors, high volume, high earning, family oriented chiropractors. So each month we discuss something that's on our mind. This month on my mind is an article that I read called, I won't say the author's name, but it's called The Old Guard. And basically, this young chiropractor is arguing for his limitations. And that limitation is the new world as he sees it, mostly about his high debt and the high cost of living now compared to what he called us, the old guard, and how, and he infers this, I guess maybe even outright says it, how much easier it was for us because
Hmm.
the economy was different. Yeah, I know. And yeah, that's, I'll start by saying this and we can go on. In the very first paragraph or two of his article, I don't know what generation he's speaking of because he said the 70s and 80s, but he said that you could put on a pair of work gloves and work a tractor in the off time and um uh
Fences,
pay your,
yeah.
pay your
Tuition.
way through, yeah, pay your way through chiropractic college by working part-time with a pair of work gloves. Not my generation.
No.
Not my generation. So I don't know from which he speaks. Maybe he's talking about the 50s or the 40s. I don't know. But then again, they had their own hardships also, right? So they went to jail. We were called quacks. They have high tuition fees. I don't know. Brad, where do you go with this article? And then we'll get into a little bit more.
Well, I think back to when we were at school, we took out loans and our loans were at 18%. And
I had one.
they started generating interest the day you took the check.
I had
Not
one
not
21%.
where yours was 21. Oh, I
I
must
had
have got
one
a
at
good
21.
rate. And my first job out of chiropractic school, I made $300 a week. Um, uh, I like I said, every generation has their challenges to starting practice and succeeding in practice. And I think we
Yeah.
need to evaluate that and then help guide the younger doctors to realize that they have a great opportunity too. Terrence makes fun of me because I say it's the greatest time in the this is the greatest time to be a chiropractor, because it is. Because more and more people are accepting of chiropractic. When we were starting out, people were afraid to tell their doctors that they were going to go to a chiropractor because the
Yeah.
doctor would threaten to fire them. So it's a two-way street. So anyway,
Yeah, yeah, he cut it. I'm looking down in the article. He said the golden era when a summer harvest job paid for your tuition.
Hmm.
So it makes me wonder. And look, we're all gonna sound like the old guy, because we are. Um, I'd like to ask what kind of job he worked while he was in school, right? I mean, I worked 30 hours a week. Nobody paid my tuition. Um, it took me a while to pay my debt after I got out. And I know for a fact right now, I can teach this young man how to be debt free in 10 years. It's possible. I can name many people that have done it. Um, I just, is this enough? I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it because I don't give a shit anymore if I piss people off. Is this another millennial whine?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, the article is short in evidence, right? It just puts out a concept, but I've heard this concept over and over from these guys. Sure, you got $200,000 in debt. But when I first started practicing, I was lucky to get 20 or $22 a visit, even from the insurance company.
Correct.
Right? What are they getting now, Terrence? I have no idea. 122?
Well, I mean,
100?
a lot of people, their average adjustment now is $80,
Yeah.
plus, if they're doing any therapies, all those aspects of it. Yeah, I just made my notes. I kind of went through he
So did I.
started, uh, you know, why were we built for longevity? I mean, I think we had a mindset and expectation. I wanted to be successful, but I also knew, and I felt like I wanted to be, whatever word, more successful maybe than my dad. But I also knew it was going to take time. I never thought I wasn't going to practice for 40 years.
Yeah.
The biggest difference uh, in students really for the past 30 years that I'm aware of is we really embraced living on the cheap.
Mm-hmm.
There was a certain red badge of courage of driving a junker. If an apartment was for two people, six people lived there, or a house. I mean,
Yeah.
the
In school. Yeah.
apartments people lived in, they built bunk beds, or, we had a really crappy house, it was disgusting, but that's where you lived. And, you knew where the happy hours were on Friday night. You
Oh
take,
boy.
take
Right.
food home, but you embrace that. And also the thing they're forgetting, which even with the job thing is, well, if it's so expensive and you can come and go in chiropractic school, we could go to, take one off, go to, take one off, get a job and work, put the gloves on then, work on the farm.
Yeah. Right.
Why does it have to happen? Why do you have to go straight through? When I went straight through, my sister had taken one off, and I remember calling my dad. I had intended to go to, take one off, go
Hmm.
to, off, and work. And called my dad. So this would be 1984-ish. And I called my dad and I said, should I take off? And he said, it's a recession back here. There's no jobs. There's no summer jobs. And I said, guess I'll stay. And, the other part, I graduated with about 35, 40,000 in debt. I just looked, that's the equivalent now would be like 115,000. And I had a conversation with my son-in-law who graduated from college with 85,000 in student debt. It took him 6 years to pay it off. And he was said, he lived at home and he had a good job. He's got a good job. He's in banking and investment. He he said, you remember that Saturn I drove for 6 years,
Yeah. Right.
clunker, lived at home, right? Paid off his debt and was happy to do that. Um, this guy, also, young man, also in the article talked about our passion, and I'm going to say it again. The passion develops. Mike, you'll appreciate this. Your cousin saw him on Saturday. Gave quite a diatribe on he felt that the finest and best chiropractors graduated from National College
Yeah.
because that they had limited philosophy but then developed that passion. And I kept saying to him, thank you, Don, for acknowledging that I'm one of the finest and best chiropractors out.
Yeah.
And he didn't really intend that. He kind of
He
forgot
was
that.
talking about his dad.
Yes. And so you gotta move into it. And
Yeah.
all this, that I do believe the generation that we're talking about is not embracing sacrifice. They think sacrifice is a bad word, or pain.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's just a sacred opportunity to improve yourself. And they also want to, all the things open with the best are
So,
open
yeah.
right at the top. So I opened, yes, my build out was inexpensive. It was included in my rent. The
I did
extra,
mine myself.
Me
yeah,
too.
people do it themselves. But I started with 3 flat benches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
And I
knew I
leased
had,
them.
you knew I had to have an X-ray, which I took leased or loaned.
Yes.
Um, and I bought an IKEA bookshelf, $100 for it to put our files on. One chair. Of course, we didn't have computers. I get that. I didn't. but we still had all the paper. And
Yeah.
then, I looked at his overhead stuff and I was like, he had EHR, we had all kinds of paper.
Yeah.
Malpractice is essentially the same. He talks about website, SEO marketing. I had yellow pages, had to go door to door, had to go to malls, went to the
Which is,
fly. I have rent, I had staff. We always have had compliance. That's
yeah,
just a new word for the same thing about doing your
taxes
right.
and taxes.
Taxes were higher then, and loans were higher. And we'll come back to this, but then he talks about they need tuition help and business training, housing support. I'm like, live at home.
I saw that too.
And then the last part, mentoring. Uh, we've said it, and your cousin said it again. He said, your first 10 years of practice, we had all kinds of people, young docs, who would stop by your office, right? People
Yes.
would stop by all the time. That doesn't happen anymore. Now
Every
everybody,
old every
nobody,
old no,
nobody.
every old chiropractor in my neighborhood came and said hello and said, if you need anything, give us a call.
Yes.
Yeah,
And so even with this stuff we're doing and the talk we gave at Sherman, and I know your patient, Mike, but none of those people have reached out. Not one person of those
no.
kids called.
Well,
And
Patrick,
then,
but it's my buddy. Yeah,
yeah, but he's already, but so we gave him those opportunity. I've given that opportunity to as many as I possibly can.
me
Uh,
too.
and
We do it here.
correct,
So
it's what we're doing
so
right here.
here
And
here
so
here's a
we're not
here
charging
no
for it.
no. Here's a line in the article because it goes with what you were saying about the EHR and all that. I mean, I look at, we did everything by hand when paper, right? Then when we did get some software, it was two pieces of software, right? We didn't even have note taking software. We had still had to do it by hand. We had to send that shit into insurance companies, photocopied. And you're going to tell me that's less expensive than just hitting poop, right? Now, then everything moved together. So then we had the note taking and the billing software combined, which was, God, a blessing, right? So much easier. And I look at my yellow page ads multiple, right? Because we had how many different yellow pages compared to, you want to talk about return on investment, compared to what I could do online later on. Good gracious, I'll take online a hundred times over compared to those. You had to take out a loan to get a back page in yellow pages. Remember, I mean, it was so expensive. So I'm not buying all that, right? But the thing that hit me in this article, and you too, was the line that said, the emotional load is staggering.
Right.
How typical of a statement. You saying your emotional load was any more than ours? That's just silly. It says every job feels high stake, every slow month feels dangerous, every attempt to expand comes with fear and not freedom.
Welcome to the real world. Yeah.
That blows my every attempt comes with fear that leads to freedom. If you just suck it up and do it. Emotional staggering. Those words would have never been used 10 years ago, right?
Yep.
So I, yeah. Now I get overhead in some locations. If you choose to be in Manhattan, might be staggering, but you chose that.
Right.
Your PVA or your DVA is going to be huge compared to, you know, Asheville, Ohio, right?
Yes.
But I just, I don't want to nutshell this because I don't want to say younger chiropractors are soft because he says that in the article. He says, I love this. It says, uh, Facebook groups, seminars, and the darker corners of the profession. We're going to say younger chiropractors are soft and they don't want to grind. They just want to expect things handed to them. It's said because it's the truth. A
Right.
lot of the times, I've coached chiropractors. Maybe I should qualify this. I coach chiropractors, and so has Brad and Terrence for over 20 years. And I can tell you that that's a true statement. It's a true statement. You alluded to it earlier, Terrence.
Yep.
When in school, they're told to some degree, they are told to play the doctor role before they even have the money. And
You saw that a
that's
lot.
just, yeah, and that's a shame. You can't go out and buy steaks. I had an associate. I told him two things before he left for school: work your ass off, and don't fall in love with another chiropractic college student, because now instead of 200, you're $400,000 in debt, right? And guess what he did? He barely worked a day, and he fell in love with another chiropractic student.
Right.
Here's the happy ending: inside of 10 years, they were so affluent. They paid off their almost $500,000 debt. They have a huge practice. They have kids. Their numbers are huge. And I can name, well, off the top of my head, I can name six people that have done that, right? But guess what they did? Here's the two things, more than two things that they did. They love the principle. They speak the principle. They work their asses off, right? And they went old school. They listened to a bunch of chiropractic older guys
Yeah.
and gals. They followed what we told them to do. And guess what they're doing? They're not doing any of this. Now, sure, will they bitch about how high their student loans are? Yeah. Didn't we? Will they bitch about? Yeah, they've been on bitch about the same things we all did. Insurance companies, you know,
Lawyers.
yeah, lawyers. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I
Guess what
think,
they do, though? Guess what they do then? They get to work.
yeah, they were. They
They get
worked hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't spend all their time complaining about that stuff. Yes,
No.
they're actually aware of it. It's like, okay, you can talk about it, but you don't dwell on it. You don't live there. You don't
No.
you don't affirm it further. Uh, you can't cancel, right? You
No.
you
No.
break the cycle and choose to be different. Uh, if
Yeah.
he if he likes what we did, then he should go find out how we did it.
Yeah.
Why
Exactly.
is
Exactly.
he
And
not
and it there are three Golder guys here that did it for over 40 years apiece. If he doesn't want to listen to us, then email me and I'll give him the name of
sure?
Derek or Steve or Ashley or Jen, or I can keep naming chiropractors in their early 30s. Yes, they're in their early 30s now because they had to work, 8, 10 years to get here, that are just doing great. They're killing it. But again, the thing that they're all principled, and they all you know where you're going to find them, or a lot of time where you'll find them on a Saturday at a
And you
health fair, right? Working in
Yep.
the office
Or in
prepping,
your office. Yeah.
in the office prepping, or you know what, you might find them on a sports field, because their kids are playing games. But guess what they're doing there? They're networking,
Right.
you know. But they love chiropractic, and they never look. If I told Steve, I always use Steve as an example. If I told, because he was crazy right out of college, if I told Steve to walk out in the rain with one shoe on, his hat back inside out and backwards, hopping up on one leg, chanting new patients, he would do it,
Right.
because he knew that energy, because he knew we did it, we were successful, and if he did it, he'd be successful. Is that old school? Well, all right. So I'm telling you to go talk to Jen or Steve or Ashley or whoever, and if you don't want to hear from us, hear it from a 30-year-old, right?
Right.
It's just trickling down.
You've heard me say this so many times. The only place success comes before work is in the dictionary. You gotta, you, you have, that's a Zig Ziglar thing. You have to put your nose to the grindstone.
Yeah.
You have to be okay with delayed gratification.
Yes.
You have to have a passion for what you do. You have to love chiropractic because think about it. There's 1.5 million medical doctors in this country. There are less than 80,000 chiropractors. We are so small, so comparatively, it's amazing we see as many people as we do. We could be squashed like bugs, but if we keep, but the chiropractors that were before us, the ones that went to jail, the ones that fought tooth and nail to grow chiropractic, the ones that worked Monday, Wednesday, Friday in their office, but had a job on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday to so they could pay for it. It is completely different mentality. And that's what you have to have that mental state of I'm going to do this and I'm going to do whatever's needed to be successful.
Well, yeah, if you're going to go into debt, 200 or $250,000, why wouldn't they then do whatever it takes to succeed? So you had said in the email, Brad, we don't want to sound like a bunch of old guys ranting or blah blah blah, whatever, as opposed to, where I think where are you willing to sacrifice? Where are you going to get mentoring? Where are you going to get coaching? Right? These are the steps you need to do in order to plan to get yourself out of debt. So if people, you need to hear that, like Mike said, people have done this that are closer to their age. Why don't they get on board with that?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
again,
Yep.
if if they're recognizing that these quote old guys, what was the term he used? They have this mild amusement on their face or something like that.
Yeah. 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 Right.
I mean, then he should want to be like that guy.
Absolutely. That's called
Yeah,
contentment,
yeah,
happiness,
he should
joyful.
be like, huh, I want to be like that guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find a way to do that, and
Yeah.
I'm going to ask for help. And I believe that they're very poor at asking for help, humbly asking for help.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I will complain about the generation in front of them, which isn't us. It's really that
Yes.
green people. I'm going to say it again. It's filled with those quote coaches, thought leaders who all want to charge a shit ton of money to help people, and there's plenty of people out there who will do it for free.
Yeah. Yep.
And I like the term. I like that he used mentoring, because that's
Yeah.
mentor. That's
Uh, uh, yeah. I think to some degree he's buying into the wrong premise. I don't think the chiropractor of the future is going to have a mobile practice. A
yeah,
leaner overhead. Yeah, a leaner overhead. I think the chiropractor of the future is now, and you should have a leaner overhead. You should really work on that. I like the concept of subscription and membership patients in your practice. I don't think that's a bad thing. I had that towards the end when we went mostly cash. I don't understand the increased reliance on technology. He said, and obviously we're moving to the future, so there's going to be more tech. But the reality is the chiropractor of the future that relies on his hands and adjusting subluxations, they're the ones that are going to fare better.
yeah.
And I think if they do a couple of those things, I don't. There's going to be less burnout. If I can be so bold as to say, if we rid this profession of the wannabes, right? The wannabe physical therapists, the wannabe medical doctors, there will be less burnout.
Yeah.
Because if you are a chiropractor and you hold to the principle and you're adjusting spines, um, you're gonna make a lot of money, and there's gonna be less burnout. You know,
Yeah, you're just going to be happier.
I think so.
Same. Again,
We were taught a long time ago that the chiropractic care had to be affordable for the patient, but it had to be profitable for the doctor. I
Sure,
mean, if you're not profitable, you're not going to stay in business very long. But if you're not affordable, how are you going to reach the masses? And if you do the math, you can make more money adjusting a spine than you can do anything else because of the
absolutely.
time that it takes. It only takes 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes tops to adjust somebody.
Yeah,
You do that for 4, 5, 6, 8 hours a day and focus on that as many people as possible, you're going to have more money than you can
absolutely.
ever dream of. I know I
Somebody asked me. Somebody asked me recently if you could have $1 million practice, just charging cash, and I said, do the math. You know, 400 times whatever they're charging, $45 to $50, 400 a week times 52 weeks times 40 or 45, it's over $1 million a year. Now, he didn't say, that's your gross overhead, but that's still I don't, there aren't many doing that, but still.
And your overhead is lower when you focus on adjusting only. You don't need as
Yeah.
much staff. You don't
Yeah.
need as much technology. You don't need all these fancy bells and whistles. You can get by on a flat table if you want
Preaching.
to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think if you're really some of these guys that are arguing for this type of limitations, this type of hardship, they should go find somebody that's been practicing for 40 years, somebody that they say had it easier, but is still not doing and still doing it in today's climate, and just follow them around. It's it. I would say, is it that simple? Possibly could be.
Get
Could
the big
be.
idea and all else follows.
Hey, let me ask you guys a question. If we took out the thought of I don't want to do it. Let's say you had to go back and practice. Absolutely had to. Could you kill it again?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
without a doubt.
100%. Yep,
Without a doubt.
yep, no question. And what do you think the two or three things are that you would the three things, the three arrows in your quiver that you can trust that would allow you to do that?
My hands,
My heart
heart. Yep.
And your head?
and my head.
There
Yep.
you go. There you go. That's a simple answer, but it's absolute truth. Yep. Your willingness to do what it takes, your heart, and that you love the principle, and your hands that you know how to adjust spines.
Right.
Right?
That's the key.
Got to deliver the goods.
Let's stop. I mean, I wonder sometimes if these guys and gals write these articles, because I know a female that's doing it too. Um, if they are more interested in being a social media influencer than they are in putting hands on spines, right?
Yes, they
Because
are.
this, I said this word last time, and I've used it since all week, and Lisa keeps wondering what it is. This is just pablum, man. This is just
Yeah.
crap. It's crap. It's another excuse to convince people why you're not doing well, right? It's everybody else's fault.
Yep. Well, and and again, in turn, it just follows the same vein of people then, well, this is why I have to charge so much, and this is why I got to use laser. This is why I got to do these things because I need to be able to charge more. I need to have
Yeah.
more things to do as opposed to use
Adjusted.
this word, grinding it, right? Getting good at his communication, right? Why not be really good at communicating, practicing scripts, having coaching, rehearsing them, reviewing them with a mentor, right? Role playing, then trying it, having a care plan. You're not going to have a care plan with a mobile practice. Then you're just
Yeah.
a paid guy, so it's the same thing with people like, this more than I, that, hey, did you think about saying 3 times a week for 12 weeks? And then you're going to re-x-ray and you're going to compare and say, well, I think it's going to take this long, but let's measure it. Let's see how fast your body hit, would you try it? And and have a number, and then say, if you it's going to be this much, but if you want to pay all of it, you can, whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
strategy
Cool.
that may seem very simple, but just the ability to be coachable or mentorable, right? That not just somebody telling you about the good old days, which is what he's saying, as opposed to, here's some practical strategies, very simple, to try, and now we'll meet every week or whatever it might be, or every day,
Hmm.
and let's see how we do this. So even if they're getting 2 new patients a week and they do it on those two, and they're like, holy crap, those two did it, or one
Hmm.
out of one
Hmm.
out of two did it. What I mean, and you just keep, again, grinding, practice. I
Yeah.
call it practice. It's just practice.
Yep.
practicing,
It's practice.
you get better at it. So um, this all follows that same vein of where people hiring doctors where they say, "Oh, chiropractors eat their young." It's like, no, 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 no. We don't eat our young. It's
Mm.
like we were trying, and I get some people do, maybe they did, but we're trying to put them in position to be successful, as
Yep.
opposed to, I have $250,000 in debt, so you have to pay me 100 grand, 80 to 100 grand, so I can service my debt. Well, your debt's not my problem, right?
It's
Let's
a,
get
it's a,
good,
it,
let's get good at what you're doing. And so,
it's
anyway,
real. It's really you have to look at it. For me, I had to look at it's a means to an end. That was the necessity in order for me to well, my end was in order for me to have a big practice, right? Did I think about the money? I was fortunate enough that my wife out of school thought about the money more than I do, so it gave me a little bit of. But yeah, I mean, but it was a means to an end. That's what I had to do in order to be a chiropractor to save lives, and then I knew the money was going to show up. I had that kind of faith, but I had that faith in chiropractic, not
but
in
you
myself.
also,
Ultimately, I had it in myself, but I had it more in chiropractic than I did in myself, right?
You touched on
but
a
also
really
all of us took out loans. When we took out a loan, we expected to pay that loan back.
absolutely.
Uh,
We,
Go ahead,
we
Brad.
weren't, we weren't complaining about it. Go ahead, Brad. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. You just hit the nail on the head, though, is that we had faith, we had confidence, and we had belief
Yeah,
in what
yeah,
we were doing. And I hate to say it, but I blame the schools because they've gotten away from that. Now the adjustment is just part of the tool bag with
yeah,
all the other stuff, and there's no principle taught. And to tell somebody you need to come in 3 times a week for 3 months or 6 months or whatever, they they would in school would fail the student
Yep.
for having that. You're not allowed to see anybody more than twice a week for a few weeks, and then maybe you can continue on, but nothing like lifetime care.
yeah,
It, it be, and it goes back to CCE. What are they forcing the schools to teach?
yeah.
And that's
And
why
you know
you
that,
need mentors that are outside of school so you can unlearn what you learned in
yeah.
school so that you
And
can be successful.
and the really sad part is what is it that the patient actually want? What do people want? They don't want the same old stuff. They want what we have. They want our philosophy. They want to hear this. It's obvious to us three that that's what made us so successful is that people flocked to us. They came to us like a moth to a light bulb because we had something different that worked.
Mhm.
And that's the same old shit.
Right. I,
It
100%.
Yep. Yep. To make
Look
it
at,
so simple. And you know
and
what?
listen,
Maybe that's the takeaway. Maybe that's the positive in this whole thing. Maybe that's always the positive, right? It really is always the positive. Speak the truth. Tell the truth. you know and if you tell somebody 3 times a week for 3 months, boy does that bring up some objection and some objection management. It just makes you stronger. It makes you stronger in principle. It makes you stronger in your daily procedures, but ultimately makes you strong like bull.
correct. And if you continue to study the principle as well as the science and the
Yeah,
art, you're going to find out it does take time. That
yeah,
36 visits or 3 months is not a lot in the context of
No, it's not.
subluxation or degeneration, neurological damage, whatever it might be, that you can't make the body heal faster than it's able to. Uh, and in order to get true healing, takes time, but also you got to stay on top of it. Is anybody ever really healed? No,
No.
right? It's a constant battle of regeneration or degeneration. You want to
yeah.
teach people to be in the regenerative mode versus the degenerative mode. So,
And we're
and
not going to beat that.
yeah, all those things, but so you tell the in the beginning, Mike, you tell the truth, and sometimes it's what your mentor or family has taught you, and your pits are swelling, your voice is shaking, and it sucks along the way. You tell the truth, they forget that when we tell the truth, it can suck along the way.
Yeah.
But that's where most people give up. But if you stick with it, it keeps being revealed to you more
Yes.
and more and more. And your curiosity, your beginner's mind will drive that success. You'll be like, wow, that is true. It does take time. I did have a miracle. It just happened to take 6 months or 2 years or whatever it might be. Wow, it still makes it special. I mean, again, it still takes 9 months to have a baby. We haven't improved that. That's would be arguably one of the greatest miracles anybody could ever. And then you're not done. That's just the beginning, right? So, um, yeah, again, so much. And again, these guys they're all just getting some business training, but nothing about, again, positivity, affirmations, prayer, goals, and how that all, that's so chiropractic. It all comes together if you put it under the umbrella and use it that way. That's where your magic can
Yeah.
happen.
And there was a time when we got that in chiropractic college, but now even that's going away.
Well, no, because they're not saying, just like you said, just like
Yeah.
you're not allowed to say 3 times a week for 3 months, you're not allowed to be positive. You're not allowed to talk about, right, God
You're
or
going to get
affirmation.
sued. You're going to get audited. You're going to cross
Yeah.
scope.
Mm.
The fear base. I've had a
Hey,
few.
guess what? You are going to get audited. You are going to get sued, probably. But guess what? You get through it. It's just, nobody tries to tackle you if you're not carrying the ball. So if you're that guy that's billing more than anybody because you're seeing more than anybody, guess what? It's going to raise a flag. Just get over it. You survive it.
That's why
Unless
you bulletproof
unless
your
you're
documentation so that you can.
unless you're not being honest, and then the shame on you then,
Right.
you know. So
I remember one of my mentors, Mike Hall, and he does a lot of the neuro, and he was talking about, it was 20 years ago, or I don't even know when it was. He said he got audited by Aetna. They contacted him and said, you did, I don't know, $600,000 in rehab. You billed more than anybody in the state.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you know what he said? You're welcome.
yeah,
I'm the best freaking guy out there. I'm changing lives.
yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
so he wasn't afraid. He knew he was doing
No.
the right thing. I mean, again, this is, all the diplomate stuff, neuro, but it was still rooted in the adjustment.
Yeah.
And then he would show him whatever. I'll just say
Yeah.
exercise for lack of a better
And
word.
if you're only billing the adjustment, if you're just doing adjustments, you fly under the radar. They're not, you don't
Right.
create yourself, no matter how many people you see. And if you have medical necessity, you can bill the insurance companies. But once medical necessity is gone, then it becomes maintenance care. But again, the patient should pay for that out of pocket.
A-
We'll
And they
typically say
will.
there's no such thing as good insurance,
Yeah.
chiropractic. So what
Right.
you
Right.
do is you create the value for it, so they reach into their pocket and pay for it.
And they will.
They
Yeah.
will.
They will pay for it. And
Absolutely.
that's what these kids are taught is that they won't. No, that's bullshit. They will pay for it.
It's a
If you
very
tell
good
them
point.
why, you show them why, 99% of them will pay for it. Cash money out of their pocket. And if you give them a discount if they prepay for a few months, two things happen. They're happy to take the less fee, and they don't miss appointments because they're paid for.
Oh
Right.
yeah. We
And
were
if they and if they don't miss appointments, guess what happens to them?
they get better.
They get better.
Way better.
Yeah. So,
Like
gentlemen,
Stanley used to talk about confrontational tolerance. How tolerant are you to confront the patient saying, hey, you need to come in 3 times a week for 90 days, or you need to come in here for a minimum of 12 months. If you can look a patient in the eye and or a practice member, whatever you want to call it, um, they'll believe you. If you believe it, they'll believe it.
yeah, if you have faith in yourself and faith in the principle, and you have a way to deliver that, it's easy, or I'd say it's easier than if you don't have those three things, right?
You
Yeah.
know,
Might as well start saying that stuff and get good at it because
Even if you don't believe it, say it and have your ass handed to you until it comes to, fruition or the truth, right?
Right. Keep working on it.
At this point, you're failing, so why not fail telling the truth, right?
Exactly.
It'll change. It'll turn around.
Change yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, change it. Change it. Cool.
Well, gentlemen,
All right, Mike.
I'm driving back to Baltimore for a Merry Christmas.
Merry
Very good.
Christmas.
I know
Merry
you
Christmas.
guys will have a Merry Christmas.
It'll be a quiet
Well,
one, but
we'll be at the house, Mike, at 3 o'clock on Christmas Eve till probably not that late, but
Yeah. Well,
not like the olden days.
no.
yeah, because I'm in Hannah's, I'm much closer to you, Terrence, and yeah, I might show up earlier just so I don't miss the kids, grandkids going to bed.
I understand. You're always welcome.
All
Brad, jump in the car. You can come too.
Thanks. I
right.
appreciate that.
All right. I love you guys. Merry Christmas. I'll talk to you in 2 weeks, and I'll talk
2 weeks.
to you before then, I'm sure.
All
All
right,
right, guys.
perfect.
Thanks. Appreciate
All
you.
right, guys.
Bye-bye.